Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to cover two important subjects for new sewers: sewing straight, guiding the fabric, and stopping and turning corners. As a new sewer, if you look down here, you'll see this piece of paper that I've printed. What I would do with a new sewer is print a grid like this and let them sew on the paper, rather than sewing on fabric and having machine problems and, one problem at a time, to be able to teach them to sew straight and turn a corner. And you can do different shapes. I've drawn out on fabric a similar shape, and then I have done different corners, but you're still turning a corner, and that's quite a difficult thing to do as a new sewer. So I'm going to cover how to maneuver the fabric to do that. If you are sewing seams, if you look on your machine's needle plate, you will see there are actually marks on the plate giving you seam allowance and straight lines, and some people will stick tape. You'll see this machine's got a mark on it. Will stick tape, or you might use a sewing guide or a guide with a magnet. But this video is not about seams. It's about sewing straight lines and doing corners, which is difficult for a new sewer. So we're going to start by showing you on the sewing foot that your sewing foot has got a line and needles in the middle. So when your needle's in the middle, set up on your machine, the needle's going to go into that hole there, and you are going to watch here. So as you're sewing, you're going to watch ahead of it, not the needle. The needle goes up and down all the time, so it's stationary. This is your problem. Wherever you point that tip is where it's going to sew behind. So I'm going to put the foot back on the machine, and then I'm going to show you how to start. This machine has clip-on feet, which is very nice, and so they will just clip on. You do have machines that you have to undo the screw and replace it. So I'm going to start here and just line up your line with the line on your foot. If your foot is transparent or metal or whatever it is, there will be lines, so you need a fixed point. Find yourself a fixed point that you can guide with. When you start sewing, make sure that your machine is sewing straight, obviously, and make the stitch quite long. Your stitch length is in millimeters, so you've got 2, 3, 4. Go with 2.5, 3, so that it'll move forward, nice and quickly. Okay, so we'll start sewing. This is not a race. Don't micromanage your fabric. Just let it feed and aim it in the direction of that. So the line in line with the line on the foot. If you're nervous, sew slowly. Go one stitch at a time. The machine doesn't need to sew fast. It can sew fast, but it doesn't need to. Now when you're getting near the corner, you need to just watch. You can put your hand on the flywheel. So the flywheel's on the side of the machine. You're not going to hold it, but you just put your hand there and just watch as you're going. And now you are going to watch the needle. So you're going to watch the needle going up and down, and when you get close to the line, you're going to turn the flywheel and line it up with your corner. I'm going to just lift it slightly and leave the needle in the fabric. And then you raise the foot, turn the fabric, and again line up your line. By letting the fabric just flow and letting the feed of the machine feed it, not pushing, pulling, nothing, just let it feed. If it's not feeding, then you need to change something. Change the length, of the stitch change something, but it's will feed. And then you slow down, and you can turn the flower wheel a few times, make the stitches until you get to the corner, leave the needle in the fabric. That gives you a solid pivot point. And then you're going to carry on. And if you do this with a brand new sewer, just unthread the needle, take the thread out, and let them just sew either on the paper or on fabric. And you'll see that the needle marks will show them where they've gone crooked. And then they can repeat it and repeat it. Now remember, I learned to drive. You spend about 100 hours learning. So you can't expect to do this in 5 minutes. You need to practice it. And if you're feeling, oh my word, this is too much for me, walk away. Come back again tomorrow. Come back in an hour. Make a cup of tea. But you do need to practice to get things right. Now you see I've gone over an extra stitch. I'm just going to take it back and put the needle in. So mistakes are no big deal with sewing. It's fabric, it's thread. You can unpick it if it's really a problem, but you can usually recover. The one thing you don't want to do is turn the flower wheel backwards. If you come forward too far, you have to finish the stitch and just pick it up and move it back. Don't try and undo the stitch by turning the flower wheel backwards, because you will jam your machine. And then just carry on. When you get to where you need to be, stop with your needle in. So that's my way of teaching you how to sew a nice straight seam. Remember, if you start micromanaging, you're going to get waves. It's going to wobble. Just let it feed. It will feed beautifully. Stop and lift. And stopping with the needle in will teach you the basic skill for so many techniques. Later on, when you want to do maybe applique, or there are a lot of things that you're going to need to leave the needle in and turn. So it's a skill that you need to learn right up front. Good habits are the way to go. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please will you like, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.